Hi everyone, good morning. Hope you can hear me with all the traffic. So today we're having my very long-awaited day in London, where I'm getting to do my 5 favourite things in London, but also I'm going to be walking around different places because I just absolutely love this city and just the history and everything. So while we go to the places that I love, we'll also be going to places where there's little tidbits and facts and stuff that I've learned with my many years of travelling around London and just loving this city. So first stop is Bethnal Green for breakfast. This part of London just has so much history to it, very rich history, even though it's not the oldest part of London. We'll be heading to that part later, but like I said, it just has such a rich history. This is basically the slums of Victorian London. Just down the road in Whitechapel is where Jack the Ripper committed all his murders. It's also where my family history originates as well, or that part of my family history originates in Whitechapel. So yeah, this part of London has quite a special part in my heart personally because of my family history here. We're also walking down Valence Road, which is where the Krays used to live. If you don't know the Krays, they were famous gangsters. Tom Hardy played them both in the film Legend. And we're just heading now to a cafe where the Krays actually used to eat. And we're not just heading there because of that, we're heading there because we love the cafe. The food is amazing, it's cheap, and the people are fantastic. So we're taking you along with us. So hopefully you can hear me because it is actually really loud in here. We're in Leach's Cafe on Bethnal Green Road. It's been here since like the 1900s. It's been in the same family, the Italian family, actually from a village near Lucca in Tuscany. So obviously we get on with them because they have connections to Tuscany. And yeah, we always come here as often as we can. We used to come in like nearly every weekend when we go to Netflix. But obviously now it's out of the way for us and don't really come here. It's always such a treat when we come here because we get on so well with the staff. We always have that banter and they're just lovely. And yeah, want to start bringing Alexander here, who they now call Tino because he's like a on Tino, little mini Florence person. So yeah, we're just doing the breakfast, so we're just waiting for that. Here as well, so we highly recommend whenever you're in London, this is where you come for Wellington. So this part of London was bombed pretty heavily during the war, and also there was a massive renovation project, I think, in the area around like the late 60s. So there's only a small handful of the old houses actually that are still left. So you don't really get to see a lot of that rich history that I actually spoke about because it's such an up-and-coming area now. So we've just parked up for our next destination, and we have to say that this is probably the best car park you will find in London. £10 for the day. It's actually £3.50 for an hour, and then up until 1 o'clock, and then for the rest of the day it's £3.50. So yeah, that's going to cost us £10. It's insane. In like the city of London. How does that work? So our next trip is to, if you can see it, is the Tower of London, because I absolutely love this place because it's just so steeped in history and gory stories and ghost stories and all my favourite things. So it's the first time we brought Bubs here as well, so it's a special day today because he'll be coming here a lot in his lifetime if I have anything to do with it. So, and we're historic Royal Palace members as well, so we can just rock up for free, don't have to pay to get in, although obviously that costs us about 80 quid a year to do that. But we make the most of it as much as we can anyway. But yeah, let's have a walk around and let's just take in all that history. It does cost between £20 and £25, I think, to actually get into the tower if you're not an HRP member. So it is quite a hefty price to pay, but it is so worth it. You've got over 1,000 years worth of history there, from when the tower was built and even further back when the Romans were actually occupying London. They actually have some evidence of them being there as well. So there's a little monument here that they always go on about, is where the execution spot was for Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard and Margaret Pole and everything like that. That's not actually the case. So actually it was here, well, somewhere around here, where the actual crown jewels are kept. Because obviously when Anne Boleyn was around, this building didn't exist. This was built in like the 1800s or something like that, so like centuries after Anne Boleyn was around. So maybe when you step inside, you actually step over where the scaffold would have been for Anne Boleyn. But obviously they can't put that in when you go into the crown jewels to say this is where Anne Boleyn was executed. So what they actually did was move it over there, because I think that may have been a scaffold site at some point as well, but in order for Anne Boleyn to have been executed over there, she would have been looking down because she was actually able to see her scaffold being built. But we know for a fact her window was actually on this side of the tower. So the reason they've moved it here, or that's what the theory is because obviously it's away from everything. They kind of want it to be spread out. This is more open here, and obviously conveniently it's right by the church where all the people that were executed are actually buried.
Change! Bubs! How is the Queen? Queen? The Queen? You do forget yourself, Walsingham. She has been stripped of her queenship and will now be referred to simply as she was before she married King Henry VIII. Simply as Mistress Catherine Howard. But you asked me something. What was it? How is she? Yes, I digress. Well, I wish I could bring you all better news of my young charge, but Mistress Catherine Howard is in a very poor state indeed. She broke down as we escorted her onto our barge, and then she recovered, but then, alas, she broke down again as we headed towards London Bridge. The heads of her former lovers, Master Thomas Culpepper and Francis Derham, are still impaled on London Bridge, and they were very recognisable to her as we rode underneath.
So that was lots of fun. Now we're on to our next destination. So this is one of the reasons I love this part of the city, because it's the oldest part of London mixed with the newest part, because obviously this is like the City of London, so this is where the financial part of the city is, but it's also so old. Obviously we have the Roman Wall here, you have the Tower of London, so you've got just all this history, but you've also got this church, St Olave's Church, that no one even really knows is here. It's like tucked away in the back streets by Fenchurch Street Station, so it's right in smack bang in the middle of all the city and the hustle and the bustle and everything. but it's actually where Samuel Pepys himself was buried. And also, if you look, I'll post a shot of it, but if you look, the ground level of the churchyard is actually higher than the level of the floor of the church, and that's because there were so many bodies buried there during the Great Plague that it actually raised the level of the ground of the churchyard. That's how many bodies are buried in there. Grim. Okay, so we're now walking down, I think probably a very famous but very misunderstood part of London, in terms of that the name is famous, but people they misunderstand or misinterpret what it actually means. So this part of London is Cheapside, or to be more precise, this is East Cheap. And a lot of people thought, like if you watch films like A Knight's Tale, they treat Cheapside as if it's the slums, it's where the poor people live. Couldn't actually be further from the case. Cheapside at the time, in medieval times, was actually basically like Oxford Street of today. It was the most active part of medieval England, and it's where all the markets were, and that's why if you look at a lot of the names of the streets around here, they're all to do with what the trade was at that time. So you might have like Wall Lane, or as you said, I saw down there a place called Mincing Lane, obviously where they minced meat for pies and things like that. I'm sure that's what it's for anyway. But yes, so and the name Cheapside actually comes from the old English word. I think it's either Keepan or Cheapan. It's close to the German word kaufen, which is to buy. So, and Keepan or Cheapan in Old English actually means marketplace. So that's where it comes from. And obviously Pudding Lane behind me is quite famous because Pudding Lane bakeries, and it was one of the bakeries that was down there that actually was the origin for the Great Fire of London in 1666. And we're actually in the area where the monument is. I think it's just down from where we are here, so we might see it, so I can get a shot of it. But yeah, this is the area where the Great Fire of London started, hence why there's not a lot of old buildings here, even though, like I said, this is like the oldest part of London. So now we're actually on Cheapside, the street, when before we were on East Cheap, and it's like a new thing they're doing with Cheapside. It's like they're trying to make it like what it was. So where, like I said, this has always been like the city part, so it's always business. So at the weekend it's always shut, it's practically dead. But now they're actually making it like a high street, so it's just all shops along here now. So yeah, they're just trying to bring back the old tradition of Cheapside being where the buzz is, where the people are shopping and everything like that. So I think they're actually building like a massive mall here. So just walking along Millennium Bridge and just saw this guy stoop down with a sort of a suitcase full of paints, and we were like, what the hell is this guy doing? And we just saw that he's taking all the chewing gum that's been trod into the floor and making little artworks out of them. How cool is that? In London, pretty much. I think there's been a market on this block for like over 1,000 years. Also, they just have so much different sorts of food here. So you can't really come to Borough Market without trying a bread ahead donut.
This is the first time we've actually tried them though, to be fair. That's a little confession from us there. So we thought we'd buy some to actually give them a go, and I thought I'm going to go with a traditional jam donut, although I've just got cream all over me now. Yeah, I got the traditional jam donut because I haven't had a jam donut in God knows how long. So yeah, let's give it a go. Such a good donut. It's not like really greasy. It's nice and light. There's so much jam. They're a bit smaller than I thought they would be actually. But yeah, I could get used to these.
Terminates at Stanmore. The next station is Embankment.
So the next place we're visiting is, I don't know if you can see it, the British Museum. Like one of my favourite places in London, been coming here since I was like 13 years old, I think, when I first started teaching myself ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and things like that. This was like my second home. Then when I went to university, right around the corner from here, I used to come in here during my breaks from lectures. Amazing place, I love it. Unfortunately, we've discovered that the British Museum's disabled lift isn't very good and tends to take forever, so we decided to take the quicker route. Soon, very soon. So we've come to one of my favourite places in London called Vapiano. It's an Italian place where they do it's like tailor-made fresh pasta and pizza. Literally, you just go up to the counter and basically say what you want. So you can say like pomodoro with extra prawns, and they'll add some chili if you want it. They'll add some extra garlic if you want it, and you get to choose a different type of pasta. It's all fresh pasta, and then they make it right there in front of you, and it's so good. Like it's the best pasta that I think you can get outside of Italy, basically. It's so nice. And there's a few chains of them around London, and I think in other cities in the UK as well. I don't know if they're anywhere else like outside of the UK, but I know I've seen them around, and yeah, highly recommend them. They're so good, really, really nice. I've come to this one once before for a lunch. Normally we go to one in Blackfriars, but this one's in Soho, and I didn't realise it had it downstairs. And yeah, we kind of discovered it, and it's really, really nice. Again, the food was lovely. It's the first time we've actually bought Bubs here, and he seemed to really enjoy it. He didn't eat half as much as what he normally does, but I think it's because it's fresh pasta and it's quite heavy. So, but yeah, he really enjoyed it. So yeah, highly recommended. Do we look tired? We're very tired. My back hurts. But yeah, so we're slowly walking back to the car, wanting to make the most of like the lovely weather we've had today in London. So taking in the sights and the sounds around us, and the building work that's going on, as you can see. All our batteries are dying, not just our
us physically, but all our phones and our cameras, hence why I'm filming this on a phone right now. But yeah, we've had a lovely day. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, obviously like and subscribe. You can also support us on Patreon, all that stuff. But yeah, we've had fun. I think Bubs has had fun. He's currently passed out at the moment.
We all need.
But yeah, we shall see you all in the next video. Hope you've enjoyed this one.